What if I told you that every time you solve an equation, use a calculator, or even type on a computer, you're using the ideas of a man most people have never heard of? A man who lived over 1,000 years ago, in a time when much of the world was in darkness, yet he was quietly building the foundation of modern mathematics. And here's the shocking part. Without him, algebra might not even exist today. Stay with me, because this story is not just about math. It's about a forgotten genius who changed the future of the entire world. Before we begin, if you love powerful, untold stories like this, make sure you subscribe to Epic History, because we bring you the kind of history they never taught in school. Now, imagine a world without algebra. No equations, no engineering, no modern technology as we know it. Hard to picture, right? But that was reality before one man came along and changed everything. His name was Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. He was born in the 9th century, during a time known as the Islamic Golden Age. While Europe was struggling through what many call the Dark Ages, cities like Baghdad were full of learning, discovery, and innovation. And at the heart of this intellectual revolution was a place called the House of Wisdom. This wasn't just a library, it was one of the greatest centers of knowledge the world had ever seen. Scholars from different cultures and religions came together to study science, astronomy, medicine, and mathematics, and this is where al-Khwarizmi began his work. But here's what makes his story so powerful. He didn't just study math, he transformed it. At that time, mathematics was complicated and limited. People used basic arithmetic, but solving real-world problems like dividing land, calculating trade, or inheritance was difficult and confusing. Al-Khwarizmi saw this problem, and he decided to fix it. He wrote a book that would change history forever. In this book, he introduced a new way of solving equations, a system so clear, so simple that anyone could follow it. He called it Algebra, and that word, over time, became what we now know as algebra. Let that sink in for a moment. Every time you solve for x, every time you balance an equation, you are using the method he created more than 1,000 years ago. But what made his work truly revolutionary was not just the math, it was the simplicity. He turned complex problems into step-by-step solutions. He made mathematics practical, useful, and accessible. For the first time, people could apply math to real life, business, construction, science, and more. And that changed everything. But his influence didn't stop there. Al-Khwarizmi also played a key role in spreading the number system we use today. Yes, the numbers 0 to 9, the ones you see on your phone right now. These numbers originally came from India, but it was Al-Khwarizmi who introduced them to the wider world and explained how to use them effectively. And one number in particular changed history forever: 0. It may seem simple, even meaningless, but 0 made advanced calculations possible. Without 0, there would be no computers, no digital systems, no modern science. Think about that. A single idea from over 1,000 years ago is still powering the technology you use every day. And here's something even more surprising. The word algorithm, which is the backbone of modern computing and artificial intelligence, actually comes from his name, Al-Khwarizmi. Over time, his name was Latinized and eventually became algorithm. So every time you hear about algorithms, on social media, in AI, in search engines, you are hearing the legacy of this one man. But despite all of this, most people have never heard of him. Why? Because history doesn't always tell the full story. As centuries passed, his work was translated into Latin and spread across Europe. His ideas became the foundation of modern mathematics, taught in universities. But his name slowly faded. His discoveries were used, his methods were taught, but the man himself was forgotten. And that's what makes this story so important, because it reminds us that some of the greatest contributions to human civilization come from people history almost erased. Now imagine this, a world where Al-Khwarizmi never wrote that book. No algebra, no algorithms, no structured mathematics. The ripple effect would be massive. Engineering would be delayed, science would struggle, technology as we know it might not exist. Even something as simple as calculating your expenses or coding a program would be far more difficult. That's the true impact of his work, and yet his story is rarely told. But not anymore, because now you know, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every equation, every calculation, every piece of technology around you carries a piece of his legacy. So the next time you solve a math problem, remember this name, Al-Khwarizmi, the forgotten genius who gave the world algebra. If this story surprised you, I want you to comment below, "Algebra changed the world." I'd love to see how many of you made it till the end. And don't keep this story to yourself. Share it with someone who thinks math is boring, because now you know it's anything but boring. Subscribe to Epic History for more powerful, untold stories that change how you see the world. Because sometimes the most important stories are the ones no one ever told.